Hello and welcome to Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today, of course, is the first edition of the program in 2015. So once again, welcome to 2015. But 2014 has come and gone. But what transpired during that year still lingers on the minds of many Nigerians. All despite some successes recorded, challenges like the dreaded Boko Haram sect and its incessant bombings and attacks, its capture of over 200 schoolgirls from a town in Borno State made the experience a bittersweet one for Nigerians. While we'll be looking through some of these moments and also look into a foray, of course, in this new year. But before we start that conversation, we're going to take a look at some of the trends, of course, in the past week, just like we do every show. First of all, we have the new year. People around the world, in celebration of the new year, sent messages, lit fireworks to mark the coming of the new year and wish each other the best in the coming year. Also, Steven Gerrard was in the headlines. He announced he is ending his 25-year romance with the Merseyside club. Captain Fantastic, as he is fondly called, has also announced he'll be plying his trade in the Major League Soccer next season. That's in the United States. But I think I should say just good luck to Steven Gerrard. But to move on now, I have with me a political analyst as well as a public affairs analyst, Deji Akinyemi. Deji, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
How's it going?
Yes, very well.
First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
But then, 2014, that's our focus today. There's been so much went on. For you, what was the most striking part of the past year?
Well, for me, I think it was the very mind-blowing abduction of our girls in Chibok and the many political, activities that happened last year.
Sure.
We saw many defections, interesting defections. We saw what happened in the National Assembly, that some members had to jump the fence because of the blockade that was caused by the police. And we saw, a lead to the 2015 elections, the surprise VP candidate of the APC, and the very transparent and, unprecedented transparency and choice, and the way the primary elections of the APC was conducted.
All right, so let me just take you up on the things you just said. Now, you talked
Yes.
about political defections. Of course, yeah, we heard so many of them. Which was the most striking for you?
Well, the most striking for me, I'll say, is the defection of Nuhu Ribadu from the APC to the PDP.
Why is that a different one? I mean, there were other defections.
Well, I thought for we, the younger generation, a personality like Malam Nuhu Ribadu was someone that we looked up to and we expected to stand for whatever he stood for. And him leaving the APC for the PDP was very, very striking, and it gives, the younger generation a view of this gentleman is also shaky. We don't really know what he stands for, and then you begin to ask a lot of questions. No doubt, I'm sure he must have, he must have, I mean, in all fairness to him, he must have his own reasons and probably the good things he wants to do for his people in his state. But then, when you make jumps here and there like that, you just make the people that have always aspired and admired your personality.
If I may ask, sorry to cut you short, but what is wrong with defecting from APC to PDP? If the PDP represents what he stands for,
yes,
what is wrong with him changing ship?
The defection itself, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Because in Nigeria, political parties are merely seen as platforms. I mean, if your interest is aligned, if your interest is not achieved, or a party cannot make you achieve your interest, it's easy for one politician to jump to another party. But there are some key individuals that the society look up to as, icons of the future, icons of what a new Nigeria should represent. And when these individuals begin to make those kind of jump ships, then you begin to ask questions.
All right, so let's just hold on. I mean, because of these defections, we saw some fracas that went on in some state assemblies, of course, What would you make of that?
In the state assemblies.
Some state assemblies, you know, like Rivers, like Edo states,
yes.
You know, most notably.
Well, I'm not really familiar with what happened in Edo State, but in Rivers, I feel it was more of a tussle that was a snowball effect of what happened with the governor, and then the people in the state also had to choose their positions, and then we started seeing the aftermath in the assembly.
So what do you make of it? Do you think it's a good development for a fledgling democracy?
I don't think it's a good development at all. But it's okay if we disagree, but it's not okay if we disagree and our approach to disagreement is taking that kind of dimension.
Oh, well, like they say in politics, we agree to disagree, but
yes.
Just hold on. We're going on a quick break, and when we return, we continue with Deji Akinyemi. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Channels Beam, and we've been looking at a review of 2014. I'm joined in the studio by Deji Adeyemi. He's a political scientist as well as a public affairs analyst. Deji, you know, you made, before we went on the break, you made a couple of mentions of things that struck you the most, and you made mention of the National Assembly, the
yes.
fact that I went, I mean, of course, I mean, there was so much furore about that, both locally and internationally, but what can you make of that? I mean, because some are justifying it and some are saying it is wrong, but I don't know what it means to you.
Well, when we talk about the way the police blocked the members of, you know, the House of Representatives, and stopped them from holding their session, I mean, what are you going to make of that? That's like anti-democracy. These are representatives of the people performing their political duties in what is supposed to be their office, and then the police stops and barricade the whole place. And then they had to kind of, you know, react to the police at the moment. We saw some of them jumping over the fence and making sure that they enter, and then they had what looked like a rowdy session in there. And I think that's a bad development in itself for the police and whoever was responsible, whoever gave the order for the members of the House to be stopped and for whatever reason. But the timing was also a problem, because most people knew that the House was about to sit on the issue of the extension of the state of emergency. Okay. And most people interpret that as, you know, coming from the presidency as politicking, and then they want to make sure that they get an extension to the state of emergency in the troubled states of the insurgency. But then I think it was a bad move in a bad time.
All right, so just quickly, what do you expect in 2015 in closing this part of the program?
Yes, in 2015, it's going to be very interesting. For the first time, we are seeing a formidable opposition party, you know, come into contest in an election with the ruling party. And I think February 14th will be very, very interesting to look up to and to watch when it comes.
February 2015.
Yes. All
right, very much, Deji Adeyemi. Thank you for coming on the program this afternoon and sharing your thoughts. Well, we'll take another quick break, and when we return, we'll be getting another perspective of what 2014 was and what is expected in 2015. Please join us again.